Greetings from Ajoka Theatre, Pakistan, and a happy World Theatre Day to you all. I know this World Theatre Day is coming at a time when the humanity is going through one of the worst crises in the living memory. But for all of us, especially for theatre workers, challenges and crises are not new. And we in Pakistan, as well as all over the world, theatre workers, theatre professionals, theatre supporters, theatre viewers, all will bounce back with great creativity and with greater commitment sooner than later. I had written this World Theatre Day message on the invitation of International Theatre Institute, and this was delivered to ITI affiliates all over the world. And I'm sure all of you will be observing the World Theatre Day in isolation, keeping your social distance, but at the same time, reaching out to your supporters, your well wishers. Now to the message itself. Theatre as a shrine. It's a great honor for me to write the World Theatre Day 2020 message. It is a most humbling feeling, but it is also an exciting thought that Pakistani theatre and Pakistan itself has been recognized by ITI, the most influential and representative theatre body of our times. This honor is also a tribute to Madiha Gauhar, theatre icon and Ajoka Theatre founder, also my life partner, who passed away 2 years ago. The Ajoka team has come a long, hard way, literally from street to theatre. But it is also the story of many a theatre group, I'm sure. It is never easy or smooth sailing. It is always a struggle. I come from a predominantly Muslim country which has seen several military dictatorships, the horrible onslaught of religious extremists, and 3 wars with neighboring India, with whom we share thousands of years of history and heritage. Today, we live in fear of a full blown war with our twin brother neighbor, even a nuclear war, as both countries now have nuclear weapons. We sometimes say in jest, bad times are good time for theatre. There is no dearth of challenges to be faced, contradictions to be exposed, and status quo to be subverted. My theatre group Ajoka and I have been walking this tightrope for over 36 years now. It has indeed been a tightrope to maintain the balance between entertainment and education, between searching and learning from the past and preparing for the future, between creative free expression and adventurous showdowns with authority, between socially critical and financially viable theatre, between reaching out to masses and being avant garde. One may say that a theatre maker has to be a conjurer, a magician. In Pakistan, a clear division has existed between the sacred and the profane. For the profane, there is no room for religious questioning, while for the sacred, there is no possibility of open debate or new ideas. In fact, the conservative establishment considers art and culture out of bounds for its sacred games. So the playing field for the performing artists has been like a hurdles race. They have to first prove their credentials as good Muslims and compliant citizens, and also to establish that dance, music, and theatre are allowed in Islam. A large number of observant Muslims have been reluctant to embrace the performing arts, even though the elements of dance, music, and theatre are embedded in their daily lives. And then we stumbled on a subculture which had the potential to bring the sacred and profane on the same stage. During the military rule in the 1980s, Ajoka was launched by a group of young artists who challenged the dictatorship through a socially and politically bold theatre of dissent. They found their feelings, their anger, their anguish were so amazingly expressed by a Sufi bard who lived some 300 years ago. This was the great Sufi poet Bulla. Ajoka found it could make politically explosive statements through his poetry, challenging corrupt political authority and bigoted religious establishment. The authorities could ban or banish us, but not a revered and popular Sufi poet like Bulle Shah. We discovered that his life was as dramatic and radical as his poetry, which had earned him fatwas and banishment in his lifetimes. I then wrote Bulla, a play about Bulle Shah's life and struggle. Bulla, as he is lovingly called by the masses across South Asia, was from a tradition of Punjabi Sufi poets who fearlessly challenged the authority of emperors and clerical demagogues through their poetry and practice. They wrote in the language of the people and about the aspirations of the masses. In music and dance, they found the vehicles to achieve a direct association between man and God, bypassing with disdain the exploitative religious middlemen. They defied gender and class divides and looked at the planet with wonder as a manifestation of the Almighty. The Arts Council of Lahore rejected the script on the grounds that it was not a play but a mere biography. However, when the play was performed at an alternative venue, the Goethe Institute, the audience saw, understood, and appreciated the symbolism in the life and poetry of the people's poet. They could fully identify with his life and times and see the parallels with their own lives and times. A new kind of theatre was born that day in 2001. Devotional Qawwali music, Sufi dhamal dancing, and inspirational poetry recitation, even the meditative zikr chanting became parts of the play. A group of Sikhs who were in town to attend a Punjabi conference and had popped in to see the play invaded the stage at the end, hugging and kissing the actors and crying. They were sharing the stage for the first time with Muslim Punjabis after the partition of India in 1947, which resulted in the division of Punjab on communal lines. Bulle Shah had been as dear to them as he was to Muslim Punjabis, for Sufis transcend religious or communal divides. This memorable premiere was followed by Bulle Shah's Indian Odyssey, starting with a trailblazing tour of the Indian part of Punjab. Bulla was performed in the length and breadth of India, even in times of gravest tensions between the two countries and in places where the audience did not know a single word of Punjabi but loved every moment of the play. When the doors of political dialogue and diplomacy were being closed one by one, the doors of theatre halls and the hearts of the Indian public remained wide open. During the Ajoka tour of Indian Punjab in 2004, after a very warmly received performance before a rural audience of thousands, an old man came to the actor playing the role of the great Sufi. The old man was accompanied by a young boy. My grandson is very unwell. Would you please blow a blessing upon him? The actor was taken aback and said, Babaji, I am not Bulle Shah. I am just an actor playing this role. The old man started crying and said, Please bless my grandson. I know he will recover if you do. We suggested to the actor to grant the old man his wish. The actor blew a blessing upon the young boy. The old man was satisfied. Before leaving, he said these words, Son, you are not an actor. You are an avatar of Bulle Shah, a reincarnation. Suddenly, a whole new concept of acting, of theatre, dawned upon us, where the actor becomes the reincarnation of the character he or she is portraying. In the 18 years of touring with Bulle Shah, we have noticed a similar response from an apparently uninitiated audience for whom the performance is not just an entertaining or an intellectually stimulating experience, but a soul stirring spiritual encounter. In fact, the actor playing the role of Bulle Shah's Sufi master, Shah Inayat, was so profoundly influenced by the experience that he himself became a Sufi poet and has since published two collections of poetry. The performers involved in the production have shared that when the performance starts, they feel that the spirit of Bulle Shah is among them and the stage seems to have been elevated to a higher plane. An Indian scholar, when writing about the play, gave it the title When Theatre Becomes a Shrine. I'm a secular person and my interest in Sufism is mainly cultural. I'm more interested in the performative and artistic aspects of Punjabi Sufi poets, but my audience, who may not be extremists or bigoted, but may hold sincere religious beliefs. Exploring stories such as that of Bulle Shah, and there are so many in all cultures, can become a bridge between us, the theatre makers, and an unacquainted but enthusiastic audience. Together, we can discover the spiritual dimension of theatre and build bridges between the past and the present, leading to a future which is the destiny of all communities, believers and non believers, actors and old men and their grandsons. The reason why I'm sharing the story of Bulle Shah and our exploration of a kind of Sufi theatre is that while performing on stage, sometimes we get carried away by our philosophy of theatre, our role as the harbingers of social change, and in doing so, leave a large section of the masses behind. In our engagement with the challenges of present, we sometimes deprive ourselves of the possibilities of a deeply moving spiritual experience which theatre can provide. In today's world, where bigotry, hate, and violence is on the rise once again, nations seem to be pitted against nations, believers are fighting other believers, and communities are spewing hatred against other communities. And in the meanwhile, children die of malnutrition. Mothers during childbirth due to the lack of timely medical care, and ideologies of hatred flourish. Our planet is plunging deeper and deeper into a climatic and climactic catastrophe, and one can hear the hoofbeats of the horses of four horsemen of the apocalypse. We need to replenish our spiritual strength. We need to fight apathy, lethargy, pessimism, greed, and disregard for the world we live in, the planet we live on. Theatre has a role, a noble role, in energizing and mobilizing humanity to lift itself from its descent into the abyss. It can uplift the stage, the performance space, into something sacred. In South Asia, the artists touch with reverence the floor of the stage before stepping onto it. An ancient tradition when the spiritual and the cultural were intertwined. It is time to regain that symbiotic relationship between the artist and the audience, the past and the future. Theatre making can be a sacred act, and the actors indeed can become avatars of the roles they play. Theatre elevates the art of acting to a higher spiritual plane. Theatre has the potential of becoming a shrine, and the shrine a performance space. Thank you.